Okay, 1 second. Okay, we are live. Bismillah, alhamdulillahi, rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Welcome back to another Muslim Real discussion. A very, very important discussion to do with the issue of mental health. We all know people that have unfortunately been affected by the issue of mental health and have become very, very sick, very, very ill. And I think this is a product of what's happening in our society now. So we want to discuss what are the modern day stresses? Are they any different from the past? And is there a direct link with how we're living today? And from what it appears to me, the increase in mental health issues. Now, with us, we have AR Sense Abdul Rahim, AR Sense, Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
And we have, I call him Dr. Ismail Hassan, the mental health practitioner. Sheikh, how long have you been working in this field for?
SubhanAllah. Seems like forever, man.
Yes.
I would say basically since I was 17, 18.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because I was a healthcare assistant when I was 17. I became a healthcare assistant. So I wasn't
Yes.
qualified at that point.
Yes.
But you learn a lot. You learn a lot as a healthcare assistant. I think they changed the sort of the wording now. I think nowadays they use like support worker
Yes.
nowadays, a mental health support worker. But back then it was a HCA, healthcare assistant. I think they still
Yes.
might use it, but in general it's a support worker. So 17. So we're looking at what?
You get to live on your age now,
Maybe,
yeah?
yeah, I've just did
Go
the
on.
calculation. But yeah, we're
Mm,
talking over 20 years, yeah. Over 20
okay,
years, man.
good. So we have someone
So
who's
yeah,
well experienced in this field.
yeah.
Um, and for my kind of reason why this issue is in my mind is when you see someone who's got a mental illness, you think, I saw you a few months ago and you was fine. And
Mm,
then now you're in a bad place. How did that happen? And how can I
mm,
avoid getting into that kind of position? Because when you see someone who's got mental, it's like, where do you start? How do you help them? How do you address the situation? It seems like a very difficult. So if we can get some insight into that, that will be that'll be good. First thing I want to go, just want a general question. What are or what do you think are the main? I'm just going to Abdul Rahim. What are the main stresses you think people are facing out there? What are the things that are really putting people under pressure? Um, that you might think, well, that that needs to be addressed, or that could push you over the edge.
There's so many. There's so many. I think one of the main stresses personally that I feel
Mm-hmm.
is the money situation. You know,
Okay.
whether it's lack of money, how to obtain the money.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's one of the things. And personally, I feel the lack of knowing oneself. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a great strain on people. And me personally, I believe that that can lead to the pressures of life being on top for you. If you don't know
Mm-hmm.
who you are,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't know what you're trying to do in life, and you're trying
Yeah.
to imitate and emulate other people, then it's going to cause a strain on your mental well-being, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to tip you over the edge. That's what I personally feel.
mm.
But do you think modern life is pushing us to acquire more wealth or more wealth than we actually need? That we're taking on burdens that we don't actually need. We're actually causing our own mental health issues by believing that we need to have a certain amount of money, a certain amount of status, or is it about no survival means you're going to be stressful? There's too much pressure in society even just to survive.
Nah, do you know? It depends on who you are as a person. You know,
Mm,
if you're very relaxed in this world, then life is going to become a burden upon you because you
mm-hmm,
want to sit down and, life's not a sit down thing. You know, you're gonna have to work and put in the work in order to get what you need in life. So that's one part of it. But I do believe that we're living in a fast-paced environment where everybody wants to be at the top. And at the same time saying that everybody wants to be at the top, nobody wants to wait for it. You know, nobody wants to work for it. So majority of the people, especially I feel like where it comes to social medias, etc.,
yes,
they want to acquire that thing overnight. So, you know, they're going to do whatever they feel like they need to do in order to get to that success, that so-called success. And what I see from most people, that the success is obtaining that money.
You say social media is applying pressure.
Well, do you know what it is?
To society? It's rather than it being something which is a okay, the social media it's a technology, isn't it? It's a tool, but it's the overriding issue is that it's causing too much stress in society.
Do you know what social media
there's
does?
more of a negative effect.
Social media does this. Back in the days when there wasn't the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the Snaps, etc., you can only see the man them on the ends. You know, you're on the ends. You can only see them man there over there, or them man there from that block over there. Yeah. Now what social media has done is for the man that's in Brazil over there, yeah, and he's getting it. The man that's in America, the man that's in Italy. So you're seeing all these things and different men getting different things and obtaining it in different ways. And obviously it just makes you feel like, right, hold on, I want to do that too. You know? Plus then you got the people in your area, they're doing their thing. So it's just like, everyone's getting it. Let me get it too. You know? And what social media does, it gives you snaps and snippets of somebody's lifestyle. You know, no one ain't posting the bad stuff. Everybody's posting the good stuff. So you don't even really know if what a man's really saying or what he's doing, he's really living that way. Or you can see that he's in a restaurant one time, he's in a nice car next time, he's got girls with him the next time, he's got nice clothes this time. You're just thinking, bro, my man's just living. I want to live a little piece too. And like I said, like the cost of living, all these things here, things ain't getting easier. So, you know, for people, it's like, oh, do you know what? Listen, by any means necessary.
Is that a pressure though?
For someone that's not strong like that, yeah, personally.
What do you think? What do you think, Ismail? Are people putting themselves like, in modern day? Like, okay, there are people you might say that under the poverty line, maybe they ain't got food in the fridge or whatever. That's a pressure. But I'm talking about people who are putting themselves under pressure to get material things that are not really of value to their existence. Do you get me? Like, I need to get this car, so I'm gonna put myself under this pressure, or I need to have these brands, so I'm gonna put myself under a certain pressure. When really, he doesn't really need to put himself underneath that pressure, and that is himself causing himself mental illness. What is it? What do you think, Ismail?
I mean, 100%. What AR was saying is 100% true. I think we've spoken obviously about mental health before in the past. And my key word that I always use is holistic. It's a massive if they, you know, when they talk about a heading and then they talk about an umbrella and then what comes underneath the umbrella, I think mental health has to be one of the most biggest umbrellas that are out there, because the different factors that come into play as to why it is an individual person suffers with mental health, it's like far and beyond. So what you're talking about now is just literally like a snippet of as to what contributes towards someone's mental health. But without a shadow of a doubt, these pressures of social media, and these pressures of seeing what other people have, and feeling like you need to attain what these other people have, trying to keep up with the Joneses, as they say.
Yes, yes,
This brings a huge pressure onto people, and then that's why you find people taking out loans. You know,
yes.
there's no sort of like uh, reason as to why it is you can't live without that loan. When you find a lot of people that take out loans, they're taking loans because they want a house, they want a mortgage, they want a
Hmm.
car, a fancy car, or you know, these are some of the main reasons why it is that people get loans. And the reality is you can live in
Hmm.
that council place, and try and get an upgrade if you can get an upgrade. But
Yeah. I
unfortunately,
mean,
these are the pressures that come with it.
the reason why I entitled it modern day stresses is because obviously from time beginning there's going to be bereavements, there's going to be um pressure to look after your family. These things have always been there.
Mm,
I'm talking about the modern day environment. So for example, the lack of, or not the emphasis on family, building family, for example, the fact of
mm,
that maybe the individual is the priority. Like, I've got to do me first, and we don't think about building families or society or looking after the elders. That change in society is that having a domino effect on the individual, saying, well, okay, I'm under pressure because I've got to be this man now. I've got to have this mortgage. I have this, got to have this car. In order to get this woman, I've got to be at this status. And not everyone can do that. So in these modern times, in these modern, you might call it modern brainwashing. What is the
mm.
man supposed to be? What is the woman supposed to be? And are we burdening ourselves more than we can actually carry, and then stressing out?
Yeah,
It,
without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean,
yes.
to be fair, obviously there are pressures in regards to things increasing,
Mm-hmm.
minimum wage not increasing, or when it does it slightly. I mean, look at this recent incident with the whole gas and electricity. Bro, that's
Yes.
taking a real toll on a lot of people.
Yes.
And I can only imagine how much stress that is bringing to one individual when they're having to spend a lot of their money on gas and electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so from that side of things, we have to be fair, we have to be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Government in itself are not necessarily helping, but at the same time, you made a point that we don't seem to be helping ourselves as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just as I said, it's just one snippet in regards to when it comes to mental health, man.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so on the daily, like um what does your routine look like? Like the people that you see, how are they certain statistics that well, okay, a large section of people are coming into the mental health system because of this reason or that reason, or majority of them are from this ethnicity. What are there any like patterns you can put across?
Um, it's difficult. It's
Mm-hmm.
difficult because I don't necessarily have the exact numbers per se. But
Mm-hmm.
one thing I will say is that it was interesting because I'm coming from Southwark and Lambeth. I
Yes.
was working in Southwark and Lambeth in a different setting. It was what they call early intervention.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working in a setting where we were dealing with people who suffer with mental health in regards to psychosis. This is like first episode psychosis, and we're the early intervention team, and we kind of
Mm-hmm.
get involved try and get there at that early stage to try and help them to recover.
What are the
Uh,
symptoms of psychosis? What is psychosis?
so ideally, sort of, if I can put it in a nutshell, in layman
Mm-hmm.
terms, it's just sort of being out of touch of reality, basically.
Okay.
And that can come in many forms. That can come in delusions.
Mm-hmm.
It can come with hallucinations, and that's auditory or visual hallucinations. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people can have all three. Sometimes they can have a mixture of the three, and sometimes
Mm-hmm. I think the internet has slowed down.
Yeah.
obviously you can, but in its totality, it's about one who's out of touch of reality. So that's where I worked for about 2.5, 3 years
Mm-hmm.
before I came into this post, and that was in Southwark and Lambeth. And if you see the amount of people who are diagnosed with um, psychosis, it's unbelievable. And the ratio in regards to the amount of ethnic minorities, as they call it, and a lot of them obviously being Afro-Caribbean. It was just a lot. Now, compared to where I am in Merton,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not with the early intervention team, but I am somewhere where I can actually see what comes in because we're an assessment team. So that basically means that we're like the gateway to mental health services within the Merton Borough. So we get referrals for everything you can imagine: eating disorders, psychosis,
Okay.
depression, anxiety, you name it. It comes to us. We do an assessment and then we signpost to the team for them to start treatment. So we're not a treatment team, we're an assessment team. So
Okay.
we'll assess, we'll assess and then we move them on to the team that we feel suitable to start that treatment with them. And it's funny because Merton is an area where the main areas are Wimbledon, Morden, and Mitcham. Those are the main three areas. And when I say Wimbledon, what kind of
It's
sticks out when we say Wimbledon?
majority English people there.
The majority white English people,
Well done. Well done.
well done, yeah,
Well-to-do
well
people.
done. And that's the amazing thing. It's a G because it doesn't matter where you come from, everybody suffers with mental health. But
Yes.
what I have noticed, and I could be wrong, but what I have noticed is that not most of them get the diagnosis of psychosis. It's quite interesting. They might present with similar, symptoms as the person in Southwark and Lambeth, but a lot of them are being diagnosed with personality disorder, bipolar, EUPD, which is emotional unstable personality disorder. And the
Yes.
reality is, if you had to choose which diagnosis you would want to be stuck with, will it be psychosis or will it be a personality disorder? I mean, I'll
Yeah.
go with a personality disorder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Psychosis
Yeah.
it's mad taboo. Do you know what I mean? You're crazy, and you're seeing things, you're hearing things, but believe it or not, people who
Yes.
have got personality disorder and EUPD, they also have psychotic symptoms, but they don't seem to get that diagnosis, and I wonder why that is. But I leave that for the audience to decide. But that's what I've come across. That's what I've come across. A lot of people are suffering with depression and
Yes.
anxiety. That is the main thing that comes through our door. Depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's just that's the difference that I kind of noticed in regards to South,
So
like
so so
Southwark and Lambeth compared to somewhere like Merton.
so in Lambeth and Southwark it was um not psychosis. What's the other one? Depression and what's the other one you
So
mentioned?
so what in Southwark and Lambeth?
Yeah. What the main what the
I
main
just saw
symptoms
I
were?
just I just saw a lot of people. I just see now, like I said, I have to be fair and I have to be just. When I was working in Southwark and Lambeth, I wasn't with the assessment team. So
Okay.
I wasn't seeing the referrals that were coming through in regards to all different types of mental health conditions. I was in the early intervention team, meaning the only referrals that are coming through to that team is psychosis. But those
Okay.
referrals were just mad crazy coming in regards
Mm-hmm.
to psychosis. But where I'm in the assessment team, they have to come through us anyway before they go to the early intervention team within Merton anyway.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
to make it worse, the early intervention team is combined with two boroughs. They're the Sutton and Merton early intervention team.
So what are you saying? It's not
So
as
the
much
amount
as Lambeth and Southwark.
with just one borough, with just one borough. So Southwark alone, yeah, the amount of referrals that they'll get in for psychosis, bro, I don't think there's a comparison to what Sutton and Merton, which are two boroughs together, what they're getting in for psychosis. Because they can afford to do that. That's how deep it is. They can actually afford to combine two boroughs under one team.
Mm. But what? Okay. What are
Because
the
not
obvious? What are the obvious differences between the two boroughs? What comes out to your mind? So okay, is it to do with wealth and status? Is it to do with
100%, 100%,
poverty? Is it
100%,
um
100%,
okay.
bro.
Mm, so
The
where there's
race, the
poverty,
race of
there's
people
more.
that are there, the money. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. 100%. But as I said, there is this connection between when you see a black man and an Asian man, how
Mhm.
quickly are you to diagnose that person with psychosis? When you see a white man, and then especially if he has money, how quickly are you to give him the diagnosis of personality disorder rather
Personality
than
disorder.
psychosis?
Yeah.
No, but
You
okay.
get what I'm
Since
trying to
okay, we
say?
got we got a white man, we got a black man. Okay, you want to treat them, right? So just say the white man now he's got psychosis. You're not gonna say to him you've only got a personality disorder. Stay for a couple of days and go back out on the street because he's ill. You still got to treat the psychosis or not? Do you get me? Like they're
Well,
not gonna
that's
let out
that's
the man.
yeah.
Hmm.
No, but that's the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is
Hmm.
you've got a white man, you've got a black man who are showing similar symptoms, right?
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
showing similar symptoms of psychosis, but the white man gets treated for personality disorder,
Yes.
and the black man gets treated for psychosis. Why is that? I don't. I
Mm,
can't. I can't answer that. For my they. It's
he cut in. He cut out.
His reception.
Mm. He's gonna come back or not? What?
known numbers were, but it's known that as a black man, you're more likely to be sectioned as a black man
Okay.
than as a white
Okay.
man. That's
Okay.
known. That's standard.
Okay.
You're more than likely to be
Mm,
misdiagnosed as a black man than a white man. That's standard. This is known anyway. And they're
mm,
looking into it. Why is this? Is it because of not understanding cultures? And I always give the example
mm-hmm,
of when you hear a Jamaican man or you hear an African man on the phone talking.
mm-hmm,
Um, if you're just walking by and you don't understand the culture, you're gonna
mm-hmm.
think, right, what's wrong with my man? Are they
Having
arguing or something?
arguments.
These times they're
Yeah.
having the best conversation of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just the culture. So when you hear them shouting and it comes across that they're being aggressive, no, they're just passionate and they're just having that conversation. And so
Mm-hmm,
therefore, when policemen come across black men and stop them, and they
mm-hmm,
see them wiling out the way they might wile out, because it's
mm-hmm.
first of all, they don't have a good relationship with police anyway. And then on top
Yeah.
of that, part of their culture is to be quite loud. Straight away they're going to try and put you on a section 136 and say, yeah, you're a danger to yourself or you're a danger to the community. Therefore, we're going to section you, bring you into the police station. You're going to get assessed by a doctor. If you're lucky, it might be a black doctor who understand where you're coming from. And if you're
Okay.
unlucky, which is most of the case, it's going to be a white doctor who might then, you know, decide to section you further.
Now, what's the next moves?
In what regards?
So obviously you've been whiling out on the road, etc. You've seen this doctor. Now you're sectioned. How do you go from being sectioned to being free? And then when you are free,
Mm-hmm.
like, what do they do for you? What do you still have to be on medication? Do you have to check in? What's the moves?
Yes.
What's the process?
So the key thing, and this goes back to again another point that you mentioned, one of the key things that will help an individual come out of hospital and not be misdiagnosed and not be overly medicated, the key element is family. That is the key
Mm-hmm.
thing. If you have family behind you,
Mm-hmm.
you have that support network behind you. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be family, it could be friends, it could be whoever. But as long as you've got that support network behind you, then this is what plays a major part into you being able to come out of hospital sooner or
Mm-hmm.
not being misdiagnosed or not being overly medicated. Because when you don't have that and it's just you one and you don't get
Mm-hmm.
that support, then it's almost as if they're able to do what they want. And then
Mm-hmm.
this is where you get misdiagnosed. This is when you get overly medicated because there isn't anyone there to advocate for you and speak up for you, you know?
Okay. Okay.
Um, and then if we look at the relationship between black families within Southwark, within Lambeth, how many mothers are single mothers? How many of fathers are not around? What is the situation with in regards to the family upkeep and the family breakdown? And therefore, how many people
Mm.
do we find on their own who are in hospital? And you find that a lot, unfortunately. I believe
Yeah.
it is slowly getting better, but you find it a lot. And so this is
Mm.
what helps for someone to be, as you said, AR, to be, released from hospital and you know, because and the way they do it in a way where they give you the tools in order for you to be able to come out of hospital. So they do things like tribunal, you know, you can appeal, and all of these things. They do ward round every single week, maybe twice a week within the hospital, and you are more than welcome to invite who you want to invite to come to these ward rounds. So it's there for you to do and to utilize, but you know,
I
unfortunately,
mean, what? Sorry to cut, but what comes to mind is having the family there in the first place, so you don't get into the mental health system. I.e., obviously, the brother mentioned that having a family is going to help you get out, of it. But if we put importance on the family in the first place, that's something which will stop you from getting into meaning you're going to have emotional support, financial support, both parents there to look after you, someone to speak to. If you don't have that family, then you're going to have issues, you're going to have stresses, and you got no outlet. And this is the question I want to ask you. How do managing emotions a key factor in maintaining healthy mental health, being able to even being able to have an outlet for your emotions, be able to speak to someone? And this is particularly about black men and dealing with emotions. I see AI was a hard man. You got emotions.
Do you know what it is?
I'll let AR answer that
I think
one.
recently he's found his emotions. He likes his emotions, but I want to know, in the past, did you have emotions?
I've always been emotional. I've always been emotional, but I just didn't know how to channel my emotions. So the way I used to channel my emotions was straight anger. You see where I'm coming from? Like, do you know what it is? I would get angry and frustrated because back then I didn't know how to vocalize myself. So I wasn't very vocal. What you see right now wasn't me back then. So I didn't know how to put it into words and form that. I didn't know how to take it from the mind, put it into words, and make people understand it. So when I was younger, what I realized is that when I was unfair, or I felt like, right, no, that was unjustly done, or etc., I used to just wild out.
Yeah.
And when I used to wild out, I'm talking about I'm spazzing out. Like, everyone's scared. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know he can move like that, and da 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 da. But what I realize is that when I do that, everyone wants to listen to me after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like,
you used it.
I used it, but it was only used when, like I said, it was to the point where no one ain't listening. You ain't listening. You're not even trying to hear my side of it. Da, 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 da. So I'll just spaz out. And then when I spaz, then everyone wants to listen because they're so shocked because they don't know that side of me. So then it's like, okay, what do you have to say, sort of thing, you know? But then at the same time, that weren't also a good thing, because certain times when I spaz, it's like I got a blackout situation. So I'm getting so emotional and so angered to the point where there's a part of my brain, it's like there's an off switch.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what went on, what did I say, what did I do, da 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 da. And now I'm in a situation where I'm sitting down and man saying, raw brother, you done this, you done that, rare. And I'm just thinking about the implications and the consequences of what just happened. So not all the time it's going to lead to that way where you're, you know, coming out on the other side and people are listening to you. Yeah, you might lead down to the way to, raw boy, you're going to have to pay for your consequences now. Like, you know, you have to pay the consequences for your actions. So,
yeah.
You know, but
just as a side note, just as a side note, you would. This is what I'm saying. If Feds might have been around when you're doing this wilding out thing,
no, 100%.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Do you see where I'm coming from? Like, I'm
exactly.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
Let me just introduce Ubaidullah and get him up to scratch. Assalamu alaikum, Ubaidullah. Can you hear us?
You're
right. Yeah. We just touch on the issue of mental health
I've been there for about 10 minutes. I've been there, you know, in the back.
You've been there?
Yeah, I've been.
Oh, it's only because I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I heard about.
But anyway, so okay, so you're up to speed then.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But the key issue is managing for men anyway. Your men and women to manage emotions and to be people that can channel emotions. So, for example, if you've got a family, stable family, you're able now to speak to your family and get advice. And if you've got an emotional issue, you can speak to your mother, your father. You got an outlet for your emotions. But unfortunately, if the family is broken down, then because we do have a system now of the individual where it's all about me and I'm doing my own thing, and there's no real importance given to the family. So that in itself is a means to not being able to share your emotions, not getting emotional support, which then could lead on to mental illnesses, one of the factors. So what do you want to say, Ubaydullah, on that point? You've been waiting there for 10 minutes, so I know you must have enough to say right now.
Not really. I just wanted to basically kind of agree with what was said, is that when I went to court, I noticed that, you see, when you ain't got no family, like the system will kind of, it's like they look at you like you're nobody, like you're unloved. You're not, nobody don't care about you.
Okay.
So it's kind of like,
got you.
You had a whole bag of family there. It's kind of like, okay, they'll see that, you know, you're loved, innit? That you're you know, that you're valued. You got
people supporting you.
There's people that will fight for you. But if there's no one to fight for you, and I think this whole system is a system of abuse. Yeah, and it's not just about color, because if you go into the boarding schools and you go into children's homes, you go into the church, bruv, where there's no family, where there's no dad, brother, sister, where there's no family unit that's gonna bust your head if you violate this child, they're gonna abuse this child, and that's what they do everywhere. Look all the children that get abused in homes, anywhere where people aren't there to protect and fight for you, people abuse people. Like, it don't matter where, what color, what age. Girls will get abused. They ain't got no big brother, no dad. Boys will get abused. Children will get abused. Elderly get abused in elderly homes. Wherever there's space for someone to abuse people, there's people in this world that they're gonna abuse people that don't have no one to protect them. You see what I'm saying? And I just think, you know, it's just that's what bullies do, and this system's rife with it. This system is rife with it in every area. It's not just color and mental health; it's all areas. Vulnerable people are being abused everywhere. Yeah, and I think, you know, and like you said about the family, you know, when we're coming from broken homes and, you know, there's no real support system, they know that, and they'll give you a harsher sentence at the court because they know nobody don't care about you. Like, I've gone to court and it's just me going to court. You know,
no family there. Okay, no they don't.
They know no one don't love
that's
you.
Rough.
But it's like they're just gonna just. It's like the way they talk to you, the way they handle you. But if they see your mum show up now, it's okay.
They handle you differently.
That's her son, kind of thing. Oh, so it's kind of like, it's like it's kind of like they value you because they see other people value you, kind of thing.
Got you. Yes.
So that's my little. That's what I think anyway.
I mean, obviously, coming from being Muslim, we know the importance of family. We know the importance of your tribe and bringing up your people and being behind you. Because I know you come from a broken home, where your home's been like I come from a broken home. I don't know, like the difference between saying, you know what, I'm not gonna put my kids through that. Do you get what I'm saying? I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna stick with them. But I think in society now, it's as if to say, no one ain't pushing family values no more.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, I feel like it's values, period. You know, they say what your network is your net worth. Yeah.
Ooh.
And I feel like you're talking about family, and you're actually so, and you're correct, but it's also about the people that you have around you. Do you see where I'm coming from? And I feel like in the day and age that we're in,
Mhm.
even the people that you have around you that you feel like are your trustworthy, close, confident, it's not that, it's people that are posing and, whether they're biding time and waiting for, you to get up and blow or, it's everybody's here for something. No one's just not here for the loyalty and the love of just being your friend. Everybody wants something out of something.
There's a motive.
There's a motive.
There's a motive. There's some motive.
From. Like, where is just the love? Like, and that's how it used to be back in the days, where certain man you grow up with,
brother,
you have for a man that raw, there's a loyalty. Where now it's like,
what's this love talk? What's this love talk, buddy? Talk? That's soft. We talking about this love talk.
You see, and that's what it is, and that's what it is because.
Mainly, what I'm saying is like what? So just to cut back, but man's talking about love and like you got to be hard, brother. You can't come with this love talk because are we living in the age where man can actually say, "Brother, I love you, man"? Like man say, "What are you talking about?" But really and truly, if people want to be close or people want, so someone asks you a question, "You're right, brother." You say, "Yeah, I'm cool, brother," but really inside he's burning. He got issue, but he don't want to talk to him because he might turn around and say to me, "Listen, brother, fix up, man. What are you crying for?" But he wants to he wants to offload his emotions because he might crack, he might lose it if he can't speak to a brother. Say, "You know what? Can I really chat to you about this issue? Or are you just gonna turn around and laugh at me, tell me I'm an idiot?"
And that's what I'm
pick
talking
yourself
about.
up.
And that's what I'm talking about when I say a network. Because for me personally, anyone that knows me, that like they really know me, like bro, the door's always open, bro. Like the door's always open. Even if I don't understand where you're coming from, or the door's always open. I'm always gonna have a listening ear to find out, wait, where are you going with this? Do you see where I'm coming from? How can I help you? Do you see where I'm coming from? Because sometimes it's just a listening to a man.
Yes.
Sometimes a man just needs you to listen to him.
Yeah.
He just needs to vent. Sometimes just speaking about and getting off your chest is everything. But how many people in your life do you have that you can honestly speak to? No, wait, hold on. Not only that, you can speak to, and when you're speaking to them, you're not thinking, my man's gonna run off and go and tell this person here my deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah.
What is it?
I mean, are we there? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Do we know that? Do we have that? Is that the environment that we live in? That I'm cool. I've got people that I can chill with and share my emotions.
It's improving, but it's not there.
It's not there yet. But I don't know if it ever will get there. I just feel like it's improving, and that's one of the main things that man needs to see. That I can see that black men, because you mentioned black men specifically, are talking more. And there is an issue that we have as men in general, not even just black men, but men in general. We have this issue of not being able to open up, talk, shed a tear if man needs to shed a tear. Now, it has been an issue that it's taboo for men to show this side.
Yes.
Sorry, Aveda, like, you going to say something?
No, because I'm like recently I've been doing a lot of business with like Pakistani brothers, and I find that they got the same issues, bro. It's like I feel like they got the same issues in regards to like trust. Like we see them and think, them man is together, them man is tight, them man they talk, them man, they're going through the same issues. Like this man don't trust this man, and that man don't trust that man, and it's just like I do think it is a man thing. But on what Abdul Rahim said, I do think that everyone's got a motive. Everybody, I've got a motive, even for my wife. If I'm not like, I've got motives. Like I want things from my wife, she wants things from me. So I think that our love is never gonna be pure. I think the one that the one who only, like they say like only Allah's love is pure because he don't need us. So he's the only one that has no need for our love. Everyone else is conditional. Like our children's got motives. Like our children want a toy, or our children want food, or our children want a hug, or like there's a motive behind everything. Like our love's conditional. Like Allah's love is purely unconditional because he doesn't have no need for us. He don't need us to love him. We need him. So I think that like I don't expect, I just know that pure love, I'm gonna get it from Allah. So I look at humans, there's a saying, yeah. One of my Chinese suppliers said to me, I just found a text, yes, on this. She said, there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Meaning,
yeah.
How can you benefit me and how can I benefit you? That's it. Like, and even down to like she was talking about, they do business with their enemies. You see, like how England and Russia was doing business, and it's like they don't like each other, but you got oil, you got money. All right, cool. Like we're gonna do business, even though we don't like each other, because you got a benefit for me and I got a benefit for you. So that's kind of how I see the world. It's like I don't really see it as like love. I just see it as like, how can I benefit you and how can you benefit me? What can I add to your life and what can you add to my life? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how I see the world.
Yeah.
You know what? I was speaking with a man, yeah, and he said that this was his one, that everyone is meant to be used, but no one's supposed to be misused. Do you see where I'm coming from? So I feel like when we're talking about interests, yeah, the key thing is, okay, everyone's going to have an interest. It's true what you're saying. The love is going to be conditional. Do you see where I'm coming from? Whether it's I'm doing good for you because I want the reward from Allah. That's my interest in it. But it's when that interest that you have is now tainted and it's you know,
or the interest is going to bring you down. The interest.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
It's going to harm you.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
And I'm going to sell you drugs. So I don't care about you. I just want money. I don't care if you die now. That's why the problem. It's like
so
it's
that's
mutual,
when it starts getting
mutual interest.
Yeah,
Mutual interest.
Yeah.
Not where it's a one-sided. You benefit and I don't. Like riba. I borrow me some money, and then I've got to pay you 500 times back extra on top. That's not benefiting me. That's benefiting you. So it's like taking advantage of people when they're in a
bad situation.
Yeah,
and they're
or
down.
they need you. Yeah. And I mean, that goes back down to bullying, isn't it? And people taking advantage of people who are vulnerable, because there's people that are vulnerable and may not have the intellect to actually know what play this person's doing to them, or you know, like it's not having a support system to kind of see the tricks and what, you know, people's motives are, and you know, it goes back down to just people taking advantage of people again.
And if we think about it, look at what the topic is and look at where we've gone. Do you see where I'm coming from? So just this talking about, you know, people and can we trust them? This is part of it. I'm thinking so much on, can I trust my man? Can I trust this person? Can I do this? Can I?
But can you trust me? Can you trust me? I gotta say, can I trust, like in my relationship?
Can I trust myself?
Do you see where I'm coming from?
Can I trust myself not to? Because sometimes we might do things in our own interest and not realize that you just snaked my man. You just done a snaky move. In his eyes, he's looking at you like you're a snake. Like you just sometimes, like you might do a move that a man might. It's like, raw, like you done a snaky move to him, and you're not even realizing because you're not seeing it from his perspective. It's like you see what I'm saying. So it's kind of.
I mean, there was. I don't know whether a brother. They know about a recent story of a brother from the community recently got very, very ill. I don't want to mention his name, but it's a recent case where I think basically during the pandemic.
Is it okay?
During the pandemic, this is a story I heard anyway. But during the pandemic, he lost his job, and due to that, he got into financial difficulties. And one thing led to another, and he ended up in the mental health system. But it was a big situation, like From what I heard, he was going to attack somebody with a knife. It was a big issue.
Yeah.
Now, when I look at that story, I think to myself, where were the failures in the community or in his close friends that people didn't pick up anything?
Yeah, but
Or were we looking out for? I mean, I don't know. Maybe the brother went out to disappeared or kept things to himself.
We have to take responsibility as well, because you see when we smoke weed, weed is a big thing that can turn people mad. So, like,
I'm gonna get to that point. We are trying to discuss this story in
when I
detail.
when I linked that brother, he was like kind of like he was on he kind of started smoking. I didn't know him as a smoker. So I saw the connection. Like,
yes.
What are you doing smoking, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? And the weed, I see the connection with the weed. And then when I saw him in the shop the other day, he's talking about Illuminati and that. And I'm like, bro, it's like he's coming with these conspiracy theories. And it was just kind of like, I just kind of kept it stepping because I didn't really want to get drawn into it. And the next minute I hear that he done that. Yeah. Went to the parliament with a knife. And he's contacted me on Instagram. And I say answer these messages. I'm like, listen, if boy them is watching my messages or watching your messages, I don't want to be associated with you, bro. Because I'm not going to Parliament with a knife and talking about come out the MPs and rare and talking about Akbar and all them thing there, brother. Don't message my phone, brother. I don't. You know how these people are. They'll be tying whoever he messages to his little network, brother. I'm nice.
Ismail, sorry. Go on. Ismail, what is the link between? What is the link between mental health illnesses and drug abuse, specifically weed, skunk? Have you seen a link?
Yeah, 100%. I think that is something that's quite common in terms of the knowledge amongst the people. There is a heavy link between drugs and mental health. And
what do you think about vape?
And we just.
What do you think about vape? Because I see a lot of shops I go to where people's taking vapes, they look like they're off their mind, like they're losing their mind. So
I
in the mental health.
Well, I did an assessment the other day with someone, and he said that he basically was on the vape, but he was like, I don't know what was in it.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that I'm trying to learn about vape now, because vape, from what I first understood when it first started coming in, it was like the replacement for tobacco. For people who are trying to give up cigarettes, so use the vape as it's it's better to use, and now people have just gone and used it for many other different things, putting different substances and liquids inside there.
They got different ones now. Like they got like THC ones and all these things, and it's just all getting out of control.
It's crazy.
It's getting out of control. Yeah, and this is why you know that when it comes to Islam is the absolute complete way of life. Because what NHS do, and I know it sounds bad, but sometimes not laugh in that way like it's funny, but I laugh in the sense of the irony that the NHS are constantly complaining and talking about, budgeting and this is going up, and we try to help the people to stop the smoking, because that was a pandemic where a lot of the people that were coming in, there was a link with mental health and a lot of people who smoked cigarettes as well. So they were thinking, how can we try and help them to stop smoking cigarettes? So they introduced the vape, and their line of thinking was, well, the vape only has a little bit of, tobacco in it, and we feel that it should be something that helps them. And you know what? To a certain degree, it did. It helped a lot of people in terms of when it comes to cigarettes, come off the cigarettes, to use the vape, to eventually not smoke at all. But then it introduced a new problem, which is what we're facing now, which is how they're using the vapes. They're using the vapes for other than that now. So it's just like they're trying to have these solutions when the solution's right there in their face. But obviously, no one wants to, they don't want to accept that Islam is the truth. And
children are on the vape.
Bruv, children are on the vape.
Bruv, every single shop I go to, remember, I'm in these retail stores all the time, and it's like, bruv, there are children coming in. It's almost like, bro, bruv, I can't believe how these vapes have become
The
like,
kids are buying the vapes.
oh, yeah, kids are, but everybody. I'm like, bro, it's like, well, can I get a mango and can I get a cherry and I'm like,
Yeah,
bruv, everybody's
yeah.
everybody is coming in for a vape. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Bruv, it's like if you go stand in a retail shop, bruv, I'm telling you, one of them customers is gonna ask for a vape, and it's just crazy. For me,
And then they got the mad deals. They got mad deals on them, like 3 for £10 and 3 for a straw. And it's just all
but
mad.
you know the thing is, do you know the thing is? See, people that would have never smoked, they would have, you know, like Shaitan. Shaitan is very tricky. Yeah, he does things step by step.
By steps.
People that would have never smoked weed or never smoked cigarette, but now they're inhaling something in their lungs. So now you're inhaling in your lungs and you're blowing smoke, and you're used to that whole thing. It's for me, I see it like it's a gateway to harder things.
Yeah,
it's like
100%.
Like our OnlyFans. OnlyFans is a gateway to pornography. That's what it is, to prostitution. You're showing your body, show a little face, little leg, little chest, little bum, little breast for little money. Now it's like, now you're used to getting that little change. Now you're like, oh, okay, well, you've crossed that line now. You've sold your soul a little bit, so you might as well just sell it a little bit more, innit? You might just now he's gonna offer you more paper. And then now it's like, can you resist? Like, you've crossed your moral boundary. So it's like, where's the line now? You've crossed your line already. So it's like, so now it's like Shaitan just trying to get man over that line a little bit. And I see, you know, vapes as something where it's like, it's a gateway to smoking weed. And I see man turning crazy off the vapes, bro. I see man turning.
Do you know, so funny. Do you know what? Do you know another thing I noticed as well? How a lot of people that I've noticed, even going back to when I was in Southwark and Lambeth, a lot of people tend to turn mad more on weed than crack and heroin and that. Like crack and heroin, when they're on that, it's like, okay, at the moment they might be acting a bit mad when they take the crack, and when they take the heroin, they're acting a bit mad. And then when they come down, they're like, okay, they're kind of feeling for it and whatnot. But in terms of being psychotic, in terms of like literally turning mad, like literally, like you've got schizophrenia, schizophrenia and that, as in like, I'm not on drugs no more right now, I'm sober at the moment, but I'm just seeing things and I'm just going mad, bro. It's like it's linked more with weed than it is with crack, heroin, cocaine, the whole lot, bro. It's mad.
Is there a particular type of weed, like the skunk and the
the skunk, all day long, the skunk, the cheese, whatever you call it, amnesia, all of what they call it. That's what it is. It's very rare, and this is not me promoting, but it's very rare that you find someone coming in and he's mad because of bush, because a bit of mush, because a bit of Thai. You know, it's very rare. You don't catch man coming in there and you're like, oh, so what are you smoking? Oh yeah, smoke a little bit of bush. And no one's smoking bush now, bro. No one's smoking mush. Yeah, mush what? But man, they're not even smoking grade. They're not even smoking high grade. Nothing that the sesamilia. That's out the window now. It's all straight up skunk, and that's what they're turning mad on, bro. Literally.
I can't lie. When I used to smoke, bro, I was like, do you know what the funny thing is? When you're smoking, you don't realize, like, because it's become like second nature, innit? Like, you just smoke to kind of get your peace and just function normally. But you don't even realize, like, it's only people around you. It's like my mom and certain people. It's like you realize it's like the thing is turning you mad, bro. Like, the thing is getting you angry. The thing is getting you paranoid. It's making you snap. And it's like you don't even realize. It's like you're thinking like it's just like they're just talking, but it's like it's only after I'm looking back on myself, and it's like, bro, all them wild, crazy behaviors that I used to do, erratic, angry, emotional. All that was down to the weed, bro. That was down to the skunk, all of it. All of it.
You're lucky the police didn't catch you on the street, brother. They would have sectioned you.
No, but you know, that's the funny thing. That's the funny thing. I was always kind of like aware. It's like I was always aware of the police. I was always aware, like, you know, because I'll give you an example. Like, obviously, I'm exposing myself a little bit, but one time I was in a police cell and I was mad, I was walking around in circles, innit? Just angry in the cell. Do you get me? Walking around in circles, yeah? I'm just enraged, like I'm in this police cell, the officer come to the cell and he kind of said to me, I can't remember what he said, but he said something about basically it's like our moving is making them kind of get a little bit nervous in there, and basically it just made
you're in the cell and you're making them nervous outside. Or
yeah, because remember they got you on the camera.
Oh, they're on the camera.
Yeah. On the camera, yeah.
Yes.
And I can't remember. He said something about like, you know, if you don't calm down, like we're gonna have to, you know, like do like calm you down kind of thing.
Oh man,
they're
just itching for a reason to stab you with that thing, man.
Yeah, bro. He said something that made me say, bro, you better calm down, bro. I know like you're just angry. Like,
yeah.
Because like we said, black people get animated, and it's like, bro, the man is just gonna jukes you up, bro. Like they're not thinking like, yeah, you're mad right now. They're just gonna just inject you.
Yeah.
So I just kind of just.
But they're not so mad though. We're not so mad though. You're in a cell, bro. What can you do to them? You're in a cell. They're safe. They're calm. Like if you're gonna walk around in circles, then brother, walk around in circles.
No, but that's the thing. They don't want to deal with you. That's the thing. It's kind of like it boils down to like care and love, and kind of like if it was a white guy, they can relate to him, so they might want to talk to him on a level, talk to him as their mate. I'll give you an example because remember, my mum's white, innit? So I see how police would deal with my mum, and then how they deal with me. So it's two different realities. They'll do my mum like it's their mum.
Yeah.
My mum like it's their mum. Like they got that kind of like okay
relationship,
that kind of love.
We can relate. Yeah.
For me, you're there's no relation. You're like basically like you're just nobody to me. Like I don't know you. I don't need to understand you. I don't need to care about you. I don't want to understand you. You know what I'm saying? Where with my mum now, it's like, okay, like my mum even said it. She said, I could carry a shotgun in the boot and she'd get away with it. That's what my mum said. That's what my mum said. Because she knows. Because the police ain't gonna stop and search her.
Yeah.
She's gonna roll around with a shot in her boot.
And she's
and
cool.
You're not gonna stop her. But me, they're gonna stop me.
Stop you 6 times in a half hour or something.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's
man.
Yeah, it just boils down to like them caring. It just boils down to caring, isn't it?
So let me ask a question. Can I ask a question? Yeah?
Of course you can.
See, when we was talking about, obviously we were talking about network, etc., and obviously you said, right, say for instance, you saw the brother, and he was moving a bit mad, and obviously you noticed that, right, you're smoking weed, etc. Now, is it the duty of the people around? Yeah. So say for instance, I see one brother, I know the brother, we liaise like that. I'm seeing that he's kind of off. Is it the duty for me to be like, yo, bro, are you all right? I can see that, right, obviously you're smoking. That's not really your thing. Is it man's duty as the people? Because this is that's what I was talking about, the network, innit? Because, you know, if that's your people's, are you not supposed to address it in a certain way that, you know, bro, what, like, do you get me? That's the care for the person.
100%.
Yeah.
And if you're not able, because you feel you can't articulate yourself, you know, properly or whatnot, actually, you go to someone who you feel can do it. Like right now, I'm due to speak to a brother who other brothers are worried about, and you know, it's a thing where they're like, right, like, you know, Ishmael, can you go and speak to this brother because we're noticing that, you know, X, Y, and Z. We feel that you're the best person to maybe speak to him, rare. So they may not necessarily feel they're in the position to approach him about what they're noticing, which is fine, no problem. But at least they are acknowledging and doing something about it. So in one way, shape or form, yes, it's our duty to address the situation, whether it's us personally speaking to that person or going to someone and saying, yo, I know that you're quite close with him, or you're closer, or I know that maybe, you know, maybe you're in this field and so forth. Can you speak to the brother and just see how he's doing? And you know what I mean, X, Y, and Z. So yeah, 100%, man. It's man's duty, man. Love for your brother what you love for yourself, sir.
No,
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think there's a lack of love, innit? Like I think as well, like it's like like even us, it's like we're supposed to be Muslims, but then it's like I don't think we love each other, bro. Like I don't think we like, actually genuinely love each other. Like,
I think we're scared. I think we're scared.
I don't think
to go. I'm not. My point. I think we're scared to show that love, because man might say to you like, "Hey, back off from me. Like, what are you doing?"
No, I don't
like,
think he's. I just think. got a
Like,
lot
for
to
example,
watch.
if I say to you, how you doing, bruv?
Mm.
Everyone says, alhamdulillah. And you just ask him, that's it. But I say,
Yeah.
how you doing, bruv? You all right?
Yeah.
A man's going to say, are you really asking me if I'm all right? Or is this a repetition?
Yeah.
And I'm asking, are you okay?
Mm.
And that man says, bro, I got to tell you this. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, but
Maybe
see,
people don't go that far because they're not ready to take on
once he
the next
opens up,
man's problems.
but
Yeah.
once he opens up, can you handle opening that can of worms?
Yes.
And
That's the thing.
And that's what it is. I feel like the reason why I asked that, because I feel like a big part of a person's mental health or their well-being, etc., is an emotional effect and what you get from that, your emotions, and if you don't have that outlet, some people don't have family, so the closest thing to family is your friends. Now if you are a friend, like I check for certain brothers, like Ismail, that's my brother. You see where I'm coming from? If he phones my phone and it don't sound right, you can ask him right now. I'll be like, bro, you cool? Like, everything cool? Like, differently. Not, are you cool? Like, are you cool? You know what I mean? That's what man does. And I feel like when we're talking about people, and it's just for everybody who's watching this and us on the panel right now, just to look in yourself. When you're saying that's my peoples, or you're speaking to somebody, like, are you able to really differentiate between they're okay and they're a bit off today? And when they're a bit off today, are you addressing that? Like, do you see where I'm coming from? And I feel like that's the problem in the community, in the societies that we're in, that no one's really able to look at their peoples them and say, no, but my man's not all right today, He's not really, he's not being him.
Yeah, but I'm saying
the
the first thing, when people are asking, are you okay? Are they really asking, are you okay? Or is it a repetition thing? So I think it's on all of us as a part of a community saying, when we ask someone, are you okay? We actually really mean it. And if you're not okay, you can
But
offload
you can tell.
to me. You can offload
You can tell
to
when
me.
a man's not okay, though. You can tell when a man's not okay.
100%.
You can tell.
You can.
Yes and no. Yes and
Most
no.
people ignore it.
I'm good at hiding that. I'm good at hiding it. I'm not gonna lie. I am good at man not knowing that, brother. I'm going through some things right now. And that's because it is my job to deal with people who are going through a madness.
So you can't show your
when I step in that room, when I step in that room, all of my own issues and all of that, that's just got to get put right to the side. And I can't show that when I'm speaking to an individual who's going through way worse than what I'm going through. I'll tell you that for now. The people that I speak to, Aki, subhanAllah, that makes me want to make sujood, Aki. That's sujood of shukr, of thanking Allah for the test that He puts me through. Because, Aki, the things that I hear, Aki, subhanAllah, it's so deep that we've had to introduce psychology sessions just for staff, because the things that we hear, we do 2 assessments every single day, except for 1 day. So 4 days out of the week, we should be doing 2 assessments a day. That's hearing 2, 4, 6, 8 daily, Monday to Friday, except for Wednesday. We have to do assessment. 2 assessments, 2 different individuals. So I'm going to see patient X at 12 o'clock. I'm going to see patient Z at 3 o'clock. And we have to hear what they're going through. Like, we have to hear their background and their stories and the abuse and sexual abuse and mental abuse and drugs and upbringing and all of that. And Aki, it is mad draining, bro. I've actually been promoted to manager, so I don't have to do these assessments like I used to do before, because now I manage the team. I only have to do assessments every now and again, depending on the staff levels. And I used to run away from management role. I just thought I prefer being on the field. Do you know what I mean? But Aki, alhamdulillah that I'm in management right now, because when I was in that position of being an assessor, it was draining, bro. It was draining. So I think I naturally had that now, that when you see me at the masjid or whatever,
okay, you can hide it. You can hide it.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily doing it on purpose. It's just natural now to me to just, that's just how I am. And because I'm a jolly person in general, I'm a happy person in general, that's what you're gonna see more. So it would only be people like maybe my children or my wife, like they might be the ones who can see that.
Yeah. They see
he's
the
not
real
right.
you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They see the real me. Yeah, they see the real me.
Yeah.
They see the real me. You know, them ones. But yeah.
But
Yeah,
go on, Fadl, Ubaid.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say two things. I was gonna say one is I think Andrew Tate mentioned it recently. You know, like, so basically it's like a lot of us like to whine a lot. And I think you see compartmentalizing and getting on with it, I think that makes you stronger. I think when a man kind of overly emotional, like he mentioned something about when a man's overly emotional, they're the dangerous ones because he's the ones that will just do something crazy and wild. Because everyone's saying, yeah, you know, be emotional, you know, let it out and be emotional. Where man, he's meant to more compartmentalize and become stronger mentally, emotionally, and kind of just go through the trenches. You see what I'm saying? That was one thing I wanted to say. What I wanted to ask you, Ishmael, is because obviously, like, I know within the mental health, it's like there's like people, assessors that abuse people. Like, if you come across people who abuse patients, because you see when you got a crisp girl in there and she's there off a rocker,
do they take advantage of the patients?
Yeah, and she's, you see what I'm saying? Like, I've heard of situations where people will get abused in there as well. So I was wondering, like, have you ever come across that? Have you ever been made aware of any assessors that's abuse? Because you know what it is. You see patients, you see man who's been sectioned. Because you see man who's been sectioned, and you speak to a man who's been sectioned, but they've all got stories about how this girl was getting the staff made her give him head and rear it. Like, man will give you stories about abuse in there. This is man that's in there. Not like our prisoner. A prisoner will see what a prison guard is doing, but no one else on the outside don't know what he's doing in there. But it's like someone who's been sectioned, who people will say, yeah, nah, you're crazy. So they're not going to believe you.
Yeah.
So no one's going to believe your stories of delusion. So that's the perfect person to abuse, because no one's going to believe you. And on top of it, I'm just going to choke you up with a thing, put you to sleep. Like, do you not, like, have you come across people like that?
I haven't come across that personally, and I don't think I've even heard of that within the workplaces where I've worked. But I do see different levels of abuse. So I do see things like, I do see levels of abuse, like
eyes open.
Just the treatment, the treatment of So my time working in hospital, even as like a healthcare assistant, when I used to work in the hospitals, a lot of the problems that we have is with staff members, not with the patients that are there, bro. Most of the problems that we used to have is with the staff members and the way that they deal with the patients. And it's like, brother, don't deal with man like that. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is why I was quite good at my job, because obviously where I'm coming from, my background, I can relate to them a lot. Do you know what I mean? I've got someone in my family who's a drug addict or who's an alcoholic, or you know, women who may have been abused and things. So it's not you know, taboo for me. You can talk to me about these things and I can relate to you in one way or another. So I used to get along very well with the patients within the hospital, but staff members, bro, they just like, and again, I don't mean to.
They look down on them because they're not from their walk of life. So it's almost like you're kind of doing a job and working with people who you don't. It's like the racism thing. It's like I'm stopping, and I'm in this job. I've amounted to nothing in my life, and now I can take it out on a black boy on the street because I've amounted to nothing. Like, I don't want to be a police officer, but I've amounted to nothing. So therefore, I'm going to take it out on this person. Like, certain people in those places, like, it's like, Rob, I've got to, like, for example, the other day I watched the video, the people abusing the woman in the home with dementia, and it's kind of like, it's almost like, it's kind of like they don't really want to do that job. It's almost like, I've got to deal with this woman, I've got to clean up her poo, I've got to deal with this, and they're not just abusing her, because it's like,
you know what? There's another thing.
Not on that person. Yeah, go on.
There's another thing called. There's many different reasons. So yes, you're right in that sense. Sometimes it's because, and I'll be real in it, because it's where I'm from. I'm an African, and I'm proud to be an African. But sometimes you got some African people more than more than I would say than the Yardi
White
people. Them,
bro.
yeah. The African people, then, bro, they don't know how to adapt, brother. They just bring their African hardcore ways and they bring it into the workplace. And it's like, brother, you need to learn how to adapt and change how. Yeah, I get it's your culture and that's how you talk. But brother, like, you know, you got to know how to kind of tone it down a little bit, because the person who you're speaking to right now is vulnerable. And when you're speaking to them like that, they're not going to take it well. And then they're going to end up switching on you. And the next minute, it's like they're in the wrong. They switch, they get dropped up. But yet, when you look at the reasons, because, brother, it's the way you're talking to them. Like, stop talking to them like that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But it's because they don't really know any better sometimes. That's point number one.
Or you think that they're in the wrong job. You can't, like, if you're not able
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
They don't empathize with the patient. They don't empathy.
100%. But right now, we're in a situation where they're just taking anybody now in that field, because no one wants to be nurses now. No one wants to be. They're taking away the bursary. They're taking away the bursary. So when I was there, I got paid to become a mental health practitioner. Now that's not the case anymore. So they're like, okay, they got this pandemic now where it's like no one wants to go to uni to be mental health practitioners. Why is that? Because you took away the bursary, big man. All right, cool, no problem. They're not bringing it back. So what they're doing is they're bringing people from overseas now, using this new scheme to bring them overseas, because it's like when people do, the people here in the UK, when they do become nurses, they end up going abroad now, because going abroad, they get better money, they have a better lifestyle. So it's like, they're like, we're in a pandemic, what are we going to do? Rather than bringing back the bursary, these cheap people, they've decided to just open up this scheme where they're just bringing people from abroad to come over here. So we have people who...
Don't you think that this is all by design? You see all this chaos, bro? Don't you think it's just all by design? I feel like it's all by design. Like, I'll give you
to a certain degree.
I would say that the lack of, let me finish. Let me just interject. The lack of morality, you could say, there are you might say, people that want to remove God and religion from the equation. They want to be secular. So then there's no empathy, there's no love, there's no morals, which is going to lead to chaos. So that you might say is by design. If the powers that be want to push secularism and get rid of religion, then that's going to lead to that.
You know that's a problem, reaction, solution. So they create the chaos. And then they bring a solution for the chaos. So obviously we believe in the Dajjal system, and it is going to be eventually the Dajjal system is going to come. So it's kind of like, I feel like all of this is just, it's like on every level, it's like there's incompetency on every level. Like they want moral erosion, and it's like just a lack of quality in anything. You see what I'm saying? But you see,
what you're saying is true, to a large degree, because these people are not stupid, man. You know what I mean? These people went over to Atlantic Ocean and managed to brainwash a whole bunch of black people, enslave them, and bring them over here and build their whole country. And they're not stupid, my bro. So they know what alcohol does. They know what drugs does to people. They know when the family is broken up, what it does. They know all of this at the very top. So for me, yes, to a certain degree, these people who are in power, they want to control the masses, and therefore they have to put these things in place in order to control the masses. So to a certain degree, yes, I do believe that is the case. But just quickly getting back to what I was saying about the nurses, there's something called burnout as well.
Yeah.
So what happens is that you have people who are genuine. They want to help, they want to make a difference, you know. They become nurses, whether it's general, mental health, midwives, whatever it is. And then what happens is, because of pressures of life, like what we've been speaking about, finances and so forth, and then especially amongst the Africans, because they want to send money back home and stuff like that, they start working mad shifts, bro. Mad shifts. And then they get what you call burnout. When they get burnt out, that's when they start treating people different, because they're just burnt out. And they don't realize that the way that they're working, they're cutting corners now, they're getting frustrated very easily, you know, and that's just burnout from work. Yeah, that's just burnout from work. Yet alone, what else are they dealing with at home, with their wife, with the husband, with the children, with finances, with all of that? That then adds to their frustration with the burnout, and that's another reason why you find that they're not treating patients properly. Do you know what I mean?
SubhanAllah.
You know what it is, yeah? I had 2 points that I wanted to touch on real quick. What Abedallah said about the Andrew Tate thing and about the emotions, yeah?
Okay, yes. Good. But yeah, I was going to come on that. Go on.
I was speaking the other day with somebody, yeah? My brother Econ from Eat to Live Not to Die, yeah? And he gave man a story and it addresses this because we were talking about children. And I was saying, like, you know, and along the lines of, I allow my children to cry and be emotional, but there's a time frame in it. Do you see where I'm coming from? Don't stretch it past that time frame. So the story that he gave was this. There was a husband, a wife, and a child in the forest. Yeah. And out of nowhere, a lion came and killed the mum. Yeah. And it took the mum and it went away. And when it went away, the dad, the child started crying and was emotional. Yeah. And the dad looked at the child and allowed him to cry for a bit. And then he said to the child, listen, we've got 5 minutes. Yeah. You've taken 3.
He's coming
now
back.
There's 2 more minutes. And that lion's coming back. Yeah. Now, the whole point of the story was this. There's no problem with emotions. There is no problem with emotions. But when you spend too much time within your emotions, it's also not good. Like what Andrew Tate was saying, where you can't just be stiff and rigid as well, though. So it's a balance. And as Muslims, this is what we got to remember. There's a time for this and there's a time for that. There's a time for this and there's a time for that. And it said it again. There's a time for this and there's a time for that. And it was a great hadith. Do you see where I'm coming from? So we got to understand, we got to be balanced. So yeah, we do need to be emotional, but not overly emotional. And that's what Andrew Tate was saying, like, raw, not too emotional. The man that just flies off with these emotions, you can't control it. Them man there are the man that's gonna kill people and move mad. And
the other way around though, and the other way around as well. Like, so when you got someone that's not emotional at all, and they put it in, they're the ones who need to be careful of as well, because they will blow like a lid and just snap and do a mad thing as well.
100%. And the next thing was when Abedallah was talking about by design. Now, obviously, there's a book that I would say for the people to read, and is Countering the Conspiracy of Black Boys to Destroy Black Boys. And it's a big book. It's a big book. It's a big book. Like, it will give you the mindset of, bro, what's going on here? Like, bro, okay. You see where I'm coming from? So that's all I'm gonna say. And it's
what do you mean that's all we're gonna say? What do you mean?
Listen, it's called Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys.
So what is it? Is it from the perspective of how the enemy's thinking?
It's upon the perspective of life as a black boy, and how it goes left. How man goes from being interested in education and the brightest one in the room to not being interested, and now you want to do this over there, you want to do that, and and society's now mashed up. Do you see where I'm coming from? Obviously, these things come from slavery ultimately, but it's understanding it. And I feel like as a people,
can I debunk that though? Can I debunk slavery? Can I debunk slavery? There's a guy, called, I think his name called Thomas. Is it Thomas Sowell? So basically, what's his name? You know, Muawiya Tucker.
Muawiya. Yeah.
You know the brother Muawiya Tucker.
Yeah.
He put me onto this guy because time ago I was talking about business on my Instagram page and kind of business. And basically, Thomas Sowell debunks slavery because he says in the 1930s and 40s and 50s, black families were the most married families out of every single race. And that's after slavery. So then he's saying that if it was down to slavery, from slavery till now, he's had chaos. But he said, why was there a period in the 1920s and 30s and 40s where there was Black Wall Street? Black families was the most married families, the most productive, the most successful group of people on the face of the earth. Yeah.
Mhm.
So he said that basically it's when the benefit system came in. That's what
Yeah,
destroyed.
no. Listen, that no doubt the benefit system of what they gave to the American people, yeah,
No, he's
so
saying
that
the
the
UK.
woman, so that
He
the
showed the
woman
UK
would,
as well.
yeah, so yeah, but the woman would split from the man because
Yeah.
she was going to get the benefits and the housing and all those stuff there. That's rightly so. But
Mhm.
the Black Wall Street wasn't every black person. Do you
No,
see
no,
where
no.
I'm coming from?
But he
So
showed more.
you got to understand there was still people outside of that Black Wall Street that had a certain mentality that wasn't innate from where they came from. And it was for the trauma and the stresses of what they went through slavery. So I understand where he's coming from,
I think
but we can't debunk it.
No, but I think slavery, that's the story that's destroying quote unquote black people the most. That narration right there, that's what's like affecting.
You think it's holding black people to believe that this is the reason for their
that story? See
downfall
that story?
slavery.
See that story
Okay.
that they gave, man. See that story that they gave us.
Yeah.
Because remember, bro, if you go back 100 years, how do we know what was going on? 200 years, 300. We don't really know the truth. Because one thing, when I've read certain books, yeah, and it shows in America when the slavery thing was going on, there was black people who owned hundreds of slaves, bro. Like I've read books about certain slave owners that was black that owned hundreds of slaves. So slavery was a business, bro. It's only when they changed it years later to then saying that it was a race thing. So then they changed it, say, yep, right, if you're black, you're a slave. But they changed that, I think, like hundreds of years after those hundreds of years that slavery was going on and black people was benefiting from slavery, buying and selling, shipping slaves over. But man had slaves, bro. You see what I'm saying? So you see that story that they give, man, like we was all just slaves and you know, like and
not that we were all slaves. I don't think it's a thing of saying that we were all slaves. I think slavery is real, and there's no. No. No, I'm the first one. Yeah.
White people were slaves too. White people were sent to Australia. The poor white people were sent.
But there's a difference. There's a difference between when we talk about slaves and we're talking about the Atlantic slave trade. There's a big difference. Yeah, there's a big difference between the two. So I forgot what's it called. Is it called servitude? Is it called servitude? Servitude? Hold on. I think it's something called servitude where you got the thing where it's like like a maid. So it's not like the slavery that we're talking about where man chops off your things, man chops off your balls, the women get their breast chopped off, man can chop off your leg if you try and leave, man gets hanged like the dazzling fruit. What do they call it? That fruit thing that man would do, bro. There's no people that have dealt with things like that ever in that way, in that brutal way. But hold on.
Tell you what, one second. Obey. Listen, if we open this door of slavery, we're gonna be here for another hour. We need to wrap it up. But the slavery topic, we're gonna bring inshallah, what's his name, Abdul Haq Ashanti to discuss because he's
no. Yeah, he's
open this door. We're gonna be
he's well read on that. He's well read on that.
So listen, hold your thoughts on that topic. Hold it. We're gonna bring Abdul Ashanti to discuss this topic of slavery because it is very, very important in regards to how Muslims are betrayed. Because I even remember one revert brother brought it to me the other day that, why didn't I tell him that the Arabs enslaved black people? Like, okay, they did. Like, what's that got to do with whether you're Muslim or not, and whether Allah exists or not, or whether you got to be a Muslim? Like, what's the big deal? It happens. You get what I'm saying? So the topic of slavery and black people in Islam is something that we're gonna get into. But how I want to wrap it up because we've gone over an hour now. With Ismail. Now you've obviously sat down and you said you interview patients and you assess them, and you've heard their stories and you've heard the plight that they're in. What are some key points you can give us in regards to how to maintain from an Islamic point of view? What are the main points society needs to get a hold of in order to maintain, in order to have healthy mental health, you could say?
Again, I'll go back to that key word, which is holistic. So we want to look at the mind, we want to look at the body, we want to look at the your spirit. So, you know, for those people who are not Muslim and who may be watching, or those who are Muslims and who may be struggling at the moment, I'll be a fool to say that it's coming to Islam or practicing your deen is the main key factor, because the deen in itself is holistic, even down to how one goes to the toilet, clean yourself, how one should eat. All of these things are there. Fasting, they're talking about it now, science, about how much fasting, you know, is beneficial for your body and for your mind. You know, and the Prophet ﷺ has been speaking about fasting over 1,400 years ago. So, you know, coming to Islam is the key element. But for those that, okay, maybe they're not necessarily ready to come to Islam, or they may not even be thinking about Islam, then we can still talk about holistic in the sense of still looking after your body, you know, trying to eat well, trying to drink well, try not to worry too much as, you know, you're going through that struggle, staying away from the bad things, like alcohol, drugs, these kind of things. So yeah, so it's just about maintaining your health in a holistic manner. And then if you know, Islam is the one that is that final key, that final lock that puts everything into place, you know, because ultimately our main objective and our main purpose is obviously to worship Allah, but our main objective is to attain Jannah. So one thing I was talking about with a brother was that it's very, very interesting. If we were to tell the government, oh, the way to deal with alcohol, for an example, is to ban alcohol, that won't be the answer. I was thinking about it because I listened to a talk the other day. Because if you ban just alcohol and think, yeah, okay, we're going to ban alcohol and that's going to solve our problems, but they're just going to open up the black market, and we're going to have a bigger problem on our hands. It's about connecting your heart to Allah, and it's about connecting your hearts to the Jannah and to the hellfire. And this is how the companions, this is how the deen came upon them in stages. You know, it was, the first part was about understanding about Jannah and the hellfire, so that when the rulings came afterwards, it was easy for them to stop doing this. It was easy for them to start, you know, doing this regarding where it's fasting, stop the alcohol, because their hearts were connected to what? The ultimate goal, which is Jannah. So, you know, this is something that I'll advise all Muslims to do, is to try your best to connect your hearts to the Jannah and the Jahannam, so that when it comes to obeying Allah and disobeying Allah, then it becomes easier, because you know that ultimately, you know, Jannah is my main goal. Likewise, when you're suffering, when you're going through hardship within this life, you know that it's only short-lived, and that if you remain patient and if you remain obedient to Allah, then you know that Jannah is guaranteed for you. You know, even just being a Muslim, alhamdulillah, Jannah, you die upon being a Muslim and not committing shirk, you know that Jannah is guaranteed for you. This is standard. So for me, that would be my piece of advice to people out there. And now it's nothing really much more I can say. Really,
Can I ask a question?
Excellent, Fadl.
No.
Why do you want to restrict the flow of the conversation to just an hour and a half? Why don't you let it just,
brother? I gotta go, man. We got to wrap up. I know Ismail's, let me say something. I'm saying Ismail's had a long day. He's had stress. He's had meetings. So I'm gonna be merciful on Dr. Ismail Hassan. I call him doctor.
I did say an hour. I did say hour.
He did say an hour
and a half.
So we're an hour and a half. So I want to be merciful on him. And
so
we want.
So can I continue this discussion with Abdul Rahim then, if he needs to go and have a rest?
Well, I'm gonna sign out. I'm gonna sign out after we're an hour and a half, and we're gonna have a discussion. You can do something with Abdul Rahim whenever, but we're gonna sign out after an hour and a half, inshallah.
But I do think it's a good. I do think it's a good idea. Anyway, sorry, Esma. I do think it's a good idea that obviously, sometimes when we're having these conversations, something might pop up, i.e., something like slavery, and
Yeah.
I think it is important as well that we
Connected.
remain focused and
In the
not only that,
conversation.
just focus like as in what the topic was about. We try to stick with the topic that was meant to be for today. But then it's
Yeah.
good that this was brought up because then now that can be another
That is
a
going to be a topic.
podcast to say, yeah, that we can talk about this and we can really go in for another hour and a half on that
Hour and a
topic.
half.
So,
Jade.
alhamdulillah. Jazakallah as well, Ubaidullah, for bringing that up anyway for another topic because the whole slavery thing.
We're gonna deal with that topic, Ubaidullah. Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. Abdul Rahim, last word before we sign off.
Not much, man. Not much.
Okay,
I
so
I just feel like personally for me, you know, when we're talking about the mental health situation, it's just about, you know, as an individual, you know, looking at the people around you and really just taking note and focusing on who is around you and learning to know the people around you. And it's like what you lot said, you know, like some people's like, well, go on, my brother, you cool. But it's just surface. And I just feel like, you know, I say to people all the time, if you ain't going to be real with me, then just don't be around me. I'm okay with that. Do you see where I'm coming from? Because the surface thing, like, it doesn't really help, because when you're in a time of need, or if you're being a person that's very surface, then you're not really opening the door for someone to really feel like they're welcome to come and speak to you. You know? So no one can't debunk or no one can't let off steam when they're really needing that. Do you see where I'm coming from? I'm not saying to the point where you're gonna like what Ismail's saying, like you're going so deep now it's playing something on your head. I'm not saying that go that deep, because then we might have to call someone like Ismail, like my brother, my man's going through some stuff and he really needs you to sit down with him.
Yeah.
But you know, like having that persona and that character that people would want to come and speak to you.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like that's what it is personally, that we need to have that
More
vibe
empathy.
and know the people around us.
Yeah.
Pay more attention.
I mean, for me, it's like when times are hard, people turn to God in it. When people are struggling, people need to get released. And I think this is a time where Muslims need to step up, because things are going to get more difficult. Economy is going down, bills, people are stressed, and I think Muslims need to step up their game in regards to being the people who are willing to shoulder some of these responsibilities, to be that ear to listen to people, to actually care for other human beings, to love maybe unconditionally, to say to a brother, "Yeah, brother, I love you, you're okay." I think we're supposed to be those people. We're not supposed to be the because we have the balance between the spiritual and the material. We know how to balance that out. And I think this is one of the platforms that we should use to kind of share the message of Islam, that, you know, if you want to get that balance between spirituality and the material, then Islam is the answer. I think that's one of our duties to humanity. I'm going to leave the last words to Ubaidullah. Sign us out, Ubaidullah, with some lyrics, brother.
No, I just want to add my little 2 pence to what you was just talking about, what Abdul Rahim you was talking about. I think to open up to people, you have to be able to trust them. And it's like sometimes you could open up to people who may not understand you. So just like the other day where I was telling my little story and you got an understanding, because you would look at people and say, well, why are they robbing people? Why are they doing that? So because you don't understand them, you might say, yeah, lock them up. Or you might say, yeah, section him. So it's like, it's very dangerous you opening up to the wrong people. Because they may take that information. One, they could use that information against you. Yeah. Or two,
take advantage of you.
They may not understand it. So they might be like, yeah, my man's a madman. But you know, my man just said this to me. Bro, you know, my man just said that to me earlier, you know? So it's like, you got to be able to trust the people that you're talking to. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think that's really the main thing. If for people
trust is a big thing.
yeah, you have to be able to trust. And I don't think you can just open up and just talk to your general brother sometimes. It's not really a general brother. This is like an in-depth. This is like you know how President Putin, he's got his inner circle. That inner circle with the bodyguards. Those inner circle bodyguards, they're a whole next level to those other outside bodyguards. It's like them internal secrets that you've got. Not everyone needs to know them internal secrets. It's like you have to have, maybe it's your wife or maybe it's your mum. It's like there's only certain people that you can trust certain things with. That's what I think. I don't think you can share.
Yeah, definitely. We have to create that inner circle, the family, those brothers that are close. But I think the end of the day is we have to create that environment, or to be those people who can be trusted, who can listen and be relied upon, because I think society is going to go through a whole lot of troubles, and I think the Muslim community has to be there to help. That should be us. That should be us, to be those people who are there in society to help out.
Trustworthy people.
Inshallah. Brothers, jazakallah khair for your time. It's been very, very beneficial. Inshallah, we catch up again soon, inshallah. Yeah, jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.